In 2009, I was diagnosed with an aggressive form of breast cancer. And my husband and I went down to meet with the doctor and to find out the results that from a core biopsy I had done on Thursday. And he just walked into the room and he said to us, "I'm sorry, but you do have breast cancer." And at that time, I just kind of caught my breath and I looked at my husband and said, "Are you okay?" And then I just looked back at the doctor and said, "God is in control." And the journey just begins there. Our life took a huge, hard turn. I went from a strong, what I thought was healthy, wife and mom, just taking care of everyone's needs, to having to be fully taken care of by everyone else. And going back to when we were talking to the doctor, the original cancer was thought to be a stage 2. And so my mom has a history of breast cancer, and the MRI had shown that the cancer was moving to the other side. And so we made the decision pretty quickly that I would need a double mastectomy and chemo would follow that. And so the next question that he asked me was, "Well, do you want to schedule surgery on Friday or Monday?" And this was a Monday, and so I looked at him and I said, "Well, we're going to need to do that on Monday because I'm going on a church retreat." He was like, "Okay," but I'm so glad that I did that because I really needed that, the way that our life was about to change for the next year. And I absolutely knew from the beginning that I was healed. There was just this stirring in my heart that God was going to use this for something really big, and I trusted Him. And I absolutely knew there was going to be a process. I just knew, okay, I'm going to have to go through something. And that process, it looked like 5 different surgeries, 4 months of chemo, another 12 months of infusion therapy. I had wonderful doctors and just a great support system during that time. I spent so much time in bed, and my husband and friends, family, neighbors, people I hadn't seen in years, they all just rallied around us, praying and just lifting us up during the battle. And so we went through it together, and God just showed up in a mighty way. There was a lot of time spent in the bed, but that gave me time away from distraction. And I kind of laugh about it now. It was exhausting watching people do my life and do the things that I was so busy always doing, but I was sitting at the feet of Jesus, or as I like to say, laying at His feet, because I was in bed, healing. And there were just 2 points that I want to touch on that just changed me forever, and I came to just full surrender to God, which is where He was taking me all along. And after my 3rd chemo treatment, I was worn out. My family and friends taking care of me, they were all worn out. And I just remember I was in such pain. I just have never had that much pain. And I was at my parents' house, and I got my Bible and just kind of put it over my chest, because I just was too weak to read. It just comforted me. And I just began to cry out to God in this faint little whisper. I could hear myself in a faint whisper because my voice was just so weak. And I said, "Lord, this must be what it feels like to be dying. And I know I'll be in heaven with you, but please take care of them." And I began to name my family members one by one and just hand them over to Him. And so I guess, then I drifted off to sleep, and then I woke up, obviously. And I looked side to side. The Bible had not even been moved. And I looked side to side and went, I'm still here. There's no pearly gates. And my spirit, the Spirit of God, rose up in me. And I still felt terrible physically. But the Spirit of God changed me that day. And I had surrendered that people-pleasing, that trying to fix everything, make sure everybody was okay. He really wanted to work on me and help me to recover and help heal me within. And so then fast forward to 6 years later, I found myself at the same kind of place. I was healthy though, I'd been healed of cancer. I was at a real emotional time where it was emotionally exhausted, kind of just in a valley of despair, like I cannot do this, in the same just despair. And God just reminded, and I had the nerve to ask him. And I never asked why when I got cancer. I never asked why. I asked him how would I do this? He quickly answered me and gave me Zechariah 4:6, not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit. He told me how I'd do it. Never asked him why. But I said, why did you leave me here? And he just took me, as fast as I said it, he took me right back to day one. On the Thursday, that same biopsy result, that weekend, right before I was diagnosed, I was getting ready for church, and I decided to take the bandage off where I had had that biopsy done, where I had found the lump. And when I did, the bandage fell in my hand, and when it fell in my hand, it was a white cross. It was 2 steri strips, very simple, blood in the middle. And that day, I heard the Holy Spirit say to me, this is not about you, it's about the cross. And there again, just my spirit rose up. I had some things to work through, but we just have to deny ourselves, take up our cross and follow him. And so I'm happy today to say that I am 8 years cancer-free. I'm in remission. I go every year for checkups. And my family and I celebrate every year. And I just give God the glory for every bit of this, what he's done, what he's doing. And I just pray that my story brings hope to each one of you. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.